Ethan Marshall had it all, wealth, power, and the skyline at his feet. But the one thing he couldn't buy was redemption. Then a chance encounter with Emily, his ex-wife, revealed the impossible. Twin miracles carrying his name. And a second chance at the family he'd lost. Could the seeds of regret bloom into a future filled with hope, trust, and unconditional love? Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you are watching from today. Ethan Marshall stood at his office window, staring at the New York skyline. His corner office at Marshall Enterprises showed everyone how far he'd come, but inside he felt empty. The divorce papers from Emily sat in his desk drawer, 5 years old now. He kept them there as a reminder of the biggest mistake of his life. "Mr. Marshall, your 2 o'clock cancelled," his assistant Sarah said through the intercom. "Thanks, Sarah, I think I'll take a walk." Ethan grabbed his suit jacket and headed out. The spring air felt good after being cooped up all day in meetings. Central Park wasn't far, and he needed to clear his head. These days, work was all he had. Sure, he dated occasionally, beautiful women who graced magazine covers and moved in the right social circles, but none of them were Emily. He thought about their last fight. "A marriage needs children, Emily. What kind of legacy can we leave without them?" His words had been cruel, designed to hurt. Emily's face crumpled as she signed the papers, her hands shaking. "I hope you find what you're looking for, Ethan," she'd said, "but you're throwing away something real for something that might never happen." Now walking through the park, Ethan watched families enjoying the afternoon. Parents pushed strollers, kids chased each other around the playground. He'd wanted this so badly, but at what cost? A familiar laugh caught his attention. Ethan froze. There by the playground was Emily. She looked beautiful, her brown hair longer than he remembered, her smile bright as sunshine. But what made? His heart stopped with the 2 children with her, a boy and a girl maybe 4 years old with his dark hair and Emily's green eyes. "Mommy, watch this," the little girl called out, going down the slide. "Great job, Lily," Emily clapped. "Liam, be careful up there." Ethan couldn't move. Twins. Emily had twins, and they looked exactly like him. The boy, Liam, had his jawline. The girl, Lily, had his smile. How was this possible? They'd tried for years to have children. The doctors said their chances were slim to none. Yet here they were. Proof that miracles happened. Just not with him. Before he could think it through, Ethan's feet carried him forward. "Emily," she turned, and the color drained from her face. "Ethan." Her arms instinctively moved toward the children. Protective. The children, they're yours?" Emily nodded, her jaw tight. "Yes, they're mine." "How old are they?" 4. She wouldn't meet his eyes. 4 years. Ethan did the math in his head. That meant, "Emily, please, we need to talk." "No, we don't." She gathered the twins close. "Lily, Liam, time to go home." "But Mommy," Lily protested. "Now, sweetie, say goodbye to the playground." Ethan watched as Emily hurried away with the children, his mind racing. The twins had to be his. The timing, their looks, it all added up. But how? Why hadn't she told him? Back in his office, Ethan couldn't focus. He pulled out his phone and scrolled through old photos until he found one of him and Emily on their wedding day. He looked at his smile in the photo, then remembered. Lily's smile at the playground. There was no doubt. He called his assistant. "Sarah, cancel my meetings for the rest of the week and get me everything you can find on Emily Watson's life for the past 5 years. Your ex-wife, sir?" "Yes." Ethan stared out the window again, this time with purpose. "I need to know everything." That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He kept seeing those children, his children, playing at the park. Emily's face when she saw him, the way she protected them, like she was afraid he'd hurt them somehow. Had he really been so cruel that she felt she needed to hide this from him? His phone buzzed with a text from his latest girlfriend, Victoria, a model he'd been seeing for a few months. He ignored it. Nothing else mattered now. He had to know the truth about those children, about Emily's life after him, about the family that could have been his. As he lay in bed, Ethan remembered Emily's words from their last fight. "You're throwing away something real for something that might never happen." The irony wasn't lost on him. He'd left Emily because they couldn't have children, only to discover she'd had twins. His world had turned upside down in a single afternoon, and he knew nothing would ever be the same again. Emily's hands shook as she poured herself a cup of tea. The twins were finally asleep, but her mind wouldn't rest. Seeing Ethan at the park had thrown her completely off balance. She knew this day might come. New York wasn't that big after all, but she wasn't ready. "Mommy?" Lily's voice came from the hallway. "I can't sleep." Emily put down her tea and opened her arms. Her daughter climbed into her lap, dark curls falling over her face just like Ethan's used to. "What's wrong, sweetheart? Who was that man at the park? The one in the fancy suit?" Emily's heart squeezed. "Just someone Mummy used to know." Meanwhile, across town, Ethan sat in his study, reviewing the files Sarah had gathered. Emily had moved to Boston right after their divorce, where she'd worked as a teacher. She'd returned to New York 3 years ago, now running a successful children's bookstore in Brooklyn. The twins' birth certificates listed no father. His phone rang. It was his brother, Michael. "You missed the board meeting." Something came up. Something more important than the Jenkins merger. "Ethan, what's going on?" Ethan rubbed his temples. "I saw Emily today. She has children, Michael. Twins." The silence on the other end spoke volumes. "How old?" 4. "Jesus, Ethan." Michael paused. "Are you sure they look exactly like me? And the timing, they must have been conceived right before the divorce. What are you going to do?" "I need to talk to her. Really talk. To her." Ethan looked at the photo on his desk. Him and Emily on their honeymoon, young and so in love. "I need to know why she kept this from me." The next morning, Emily opened her bookstore, trying to focus on normal tasks. The bell above the door chimed. "We need to talk," Ethan said, standing in her store. "We're not open yet." Emily's voice shook. "Please, Emily, 5 minutes." She looked at him, really looked at him. He seemed older, tired. The perfect suit and expensive watch couldn't hide the pain in his eyes. "Fine. My office." They walked to the back of the store. Emily's office was cozy, filled with children's books and drawings from the twins. Ethan picked up a finger painting signed, "Love, Liam." "They're mine, aren't they?" His voice was barely a whisper. Emily sat down heavily. "Yes. How?" "The doctors said, remember our last round of IVF, before everything fell apart?" Emily's hands twisted in her lap. "They froze several embryos after you left. I couldn't let go of our dream." "My dream? I used one of them." "Without telling me?" "You made it clear you were done with me." Emily's voice hardened. "You walked away, Ethan. You chose your legacy over our marriage." "I was wrong," the words tumbled out. "So wrong. But Emily, they're my children too." "Biologically, yes, but you haven't been here. You haven't held them through nightmares, kissed scraped knees, celebrated first words." "Because I didn't know." Ethan's voice rose. "How could you keep this from me?" "Keep it from you?" Emily stood up. "You're the one who said we couldn't have a real marriage without children. You're the one who gave up on us. What was I supposed to do? Come begging back when I got pregnant? Let you love the babies, but not me?" Tears streamed down her face now. Ethan reached for her, but she stepped back. "The twins have school," she said. "You need to leave." "Emily, please. I need time to think." Ethan walked out of the bookstore in a daze. He had children, beautiful, perfect children he'd never known about. And Emily, seeing her cry, had ripped his heart out all over again. His phone buzzed. Victoria again. He answered this time. "Darling, where have you been?" "The charity gala is tonight. I can't make it." Ethan watched a young father walk by, holding his daughter's hand. "I have something more important to deal with. More important than supporting my foundation. Ethan, people are expecting us." "I'm sorry, Victoria. We need to talk tomorrow." He hung up and called his lawyer instead. "Jack, I need to know my rights. I just found out I have children." "Back at the bookstore," Emily called her sister Rachel. "He knows," she said, her voice breaking. "Ethan knows about the twins." "Oh, honey, are you okay?" "No. Yes. I don't know." Emily watched through the window as customers began to arrive. "What am I going to do?" "What you've always done," Rachel said. "Put those kids first." Emily nodded, wiping her eyes. "The twins are asking questions. About him. About why they don't have a daddy like their friends do. And now? Now everything's about to change, and I'm terrified, Rachel. What if he tries to take them away?" "He wouldn't. You didn't see him today. He looked desperate, like a man who'd do anything to get what he wants." Emily's voice dropped. Just like before. The morning rush began and Emily had to go. But as she helped customers and read stories to visiting children, her mind kept going back to Ethan's face when he saw Liam's drawing. For a moment, he'd looked like the man she'd fallen in love with, the one who'd dreamed of bedtime stories and family picnics before ambition took over. That night, as Emily tucked the twins into bed, Liam asked, "Mommy, why was that man at the store today?" Emily kissed his forehead, so like his father's. "Sometimes, sweetheart, Grown-ups have complicated things to figure out. Is he going to come back? Emily looked at her children, her miracles, her reason for everything. I think he might, baby, I think he might. Victoria stormed into Ethan's office the next morning, her designer heels clicking against the marble floor. You're breaking up with me? Over the phone? I'm sorry, Ethan said, not looking up from the legal documents on his desk. Things have changed. Changed? We were perfect together. The press loved us, the society pages. That's exactly it. Ethan finally met her eyes. It was all for show. You deserve someone who can give you what you want. Victoria's face hardened. This is about her, isn't it? Your ex-wife. Sarah told me you've been looking into her life. Victoria, please. You'll regret this, Ethan. She grabbed her purse. Nobody walks away from me. After she left, Ethan's lawyer, Jack, arrived. I've reviewed everything, Jack said, sitting down. You have rights as their biological father. We can file for partial custody. Custody? Ethan's stomach turned. I don't want to fight Emily for the kids. Then what do you want? I want... Ethan stood up, pacing. I want to know them. I want a chance to be their father, but I don't want to hurt Emily again. Sometimes you can't have both. At the bookstore, Emily was hosting a children's reading hour when Rachel burst in. You need to see this, she said, showing Emily her phone. On the screen was a gossip website. The headline read, Tech Billionaire's Secret Love Children Discovered. Below were photos of Emily with the twins at the park and old pictures from her marriage to Ethan. Emily's hands shook. How did they... Victoria Chen, Rachel spat. Ethan's girlfriend. Well, ex-girlfriend now. She leaked it to the press. Parents at the reading hour were already whispering, looking at their phones. Then at Emily. She felt sick. Take the twins, she told Rachel. Pick them up from school and keep them at your place tonight. What are you going to do? I'm going to talk to their father. Ethan was in a board meeting when Emily arrived at his office. She ignored his assistant's protests and walked straight in. Did you do this? She threw her phone on the table, showing the article. The board members stared. Ethan stood up. Meeting's over. After everyone left, he turned to Emily. I swear, I had nothing to do with this. Victoria, I don't care. Who did it? Our children's faces are all over the internet. Emily's voice cracked. Do you have any idea what this will do to them? I'll fix it. I'll have my PR team. PR team? Emily laughed bitterly. This isn't a business problem, Ethan. These are our kids' lives. Ethan moved closer. Let me help. Like you helped when I was crying in doctors' offices? Like you helped when I lost baby after baby? Emily backed away. You only care now because they exist, because they're proof. You can have children after all. That's not true. Ethan's voice was soft. I care because they're ours, because they're part of you. Emily's anger faltered. What do you want from us, Ethan? Time. A chance. He pulled out a chair for her. Please sit. Let's talk about this. They talked for hours. About the twins' birth, their first steps, their personalities. Liam loved dinosaurs and could name every single one. Lily was already reading chapter books. They both had Ethan's sweet tooth and Emily's stubbornness. They ask about you, Emily admitted. Not you specifically, but about having a father. What do you tell them? That families come in all shapes, that they're loved. She looked at him. What would you tell them? The truth, that I made a terrible mistake, that I've missed so much. Ethan's eyes were wet. That I want to make it right. Emily stood up. Start with the press. Get those pictures taken down. Then, maybe, we can talk about you meeting them properly this time. Really? Don't make me regret this. That night, Emily came home to find flowers outside her door. Not fancy roses like Ethan used to buy, but simple daisies, her favorite. The card read, I'll fix this, I promise. She put the twins to bed at Rachel's place, reading them extra stories to make up for the disrupted day. As they slept, she looked at their peaceful faces and wondered if she was doing the right thing. Her phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. PR team working through the night. Most sites already taking down photos. Meeting with Victoria's publicist tomorrow. Emily didn't respond, but she saved the message. Across town, Ethan sat in his empty penthouse looking at the family photos Sarah had gathered. The twins' whole lives, documented in images he should have been part of. Christmas mornings, birthday parties, first day of preschool. He picked up his phone to call Jack. Hold off on those custody papers, he said. I want to try something else first. Are you sure? Yes. Ethan looked at a photo of Lily and Liam blowing out birthday candles. Some things are more important than legal rights. The next morning, Emily opened the bookstore to find all traces of the story gone from major websites. A new article appeared. Victoria Chen apologizes for privacy violation, faces backlash. Her phone buzzed again. Ethan, can we talk about next steps? Emily looked at the twins' reading corner she'd set up in the store, with 2 little chairs, waiting for after school. Maybe it was time for a 3rd chair. Tomorrow, she texted back. Lunch break at 1, don't be late. Emily paced her living room, checking the clock again. It was almost time. She'd spent the morning preparing the twins, telling them they were going to meet someone special. Is it the man from the park? Lily had asked. Too smart for her own. Good. Yes, sweetie, his name is Ethan and he knew Mommy a long time ago. Now she heard his car pull up outside. Right on time. Some things hadn't changed. The twins sat on the couch dressed in their favorite outfits, Liam in his dinosaur t-shirt, Lily in her purple dress. The doorbell rang. Remember what we talked about, Emily told the twins. If you feel uncomfortable or want to stop, just say so. Ethan stood at the door holding 2 gift bags and looking more nervous than she'd ever seen him. Gone was the power suit. He wore jeans and a simple blue shirt. Hi, he said softly. Come in. Emily led him to the living room. Lily? Liam? This is Ethan. Ethan, meet the twins. Ethan's hands trembled as he set down the gifts. Hello, he said, kneeling to their level. I brought you something, if that's okay. The twins looked at Emily, who nodded. They opened the presents slowly. For Liam, a detailed book about dinosaurs. For Lily, a set of chapter books about a young girl detective. How did you know? Lily asked, eyes wide. Your mum told me what you like. Ethan smiled, and Emily's heart squeezed. He had the same smile as Liam. Do you know all the dinosaurs? Liam asked suddenly. Not as many as you, I bet. Maybe you could teach me. Soon Liam was showing Ethan his dinosaur collection, explaining each one with 4-year-old enthusiasm. Lily sat nearby, already nose-deep in her new book, but watching them over the pages. Emily went to make coffee, needing a moment alone. Through the kitchen door, she heard Liam's excited voice. This one's a triceratops. He's a herbivore. That means he only eats plants. That's very smart, Ethan said. You know a lot about dinosaurs. Mommy takes us to the museum every month. Emily returned with coffee for her and Ethan and juice boxes for the kids. The scene looked so normal, like a regular family afternoon. Can we show Ethan our rooms? Lily asked suddenly. Emily hesitated. If you want to. They led Ethan upstairs, showing him their matching rooms. Dinosaurs for Liam, stars and moons for Lily. Emily watched from the doorway as Ethan took everything in, knowing he was memorizing every detail. Who's this? He asked, pointing to a photo by Lily's bed. That's me and Liam when we were babies, Lily said. We were really small because we came early. Mommy says we were fighters. Ethan's eyes met Emily's. She remembered those terrifying weeks in the NICU, wishing she wasn't alone. You were amazing fighters, Ethan said, his voice thick, just like your mum. The afternoon passed quickly. When it was time for Ethan to leave, both twins surprised everyone by hugging him. Will you come back? Liam asked. Ethan looked at Emily. If your mum says it's okay. We'll see, Emily said. Say goodbye, kids. After Ethan left, Emily tucked the twins into bed. They were full of questions. Is Ethan going to be our friend? Lily asked. Do you want him to be? Both twins nodded. Later, Emily sat on her back porch thinking. Her phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. Thank you for today, they're incredible. She started to type, you're welcome, but stopped. Instead, she wrote, they liked you. Really? Lily put the books on her special shelf. Liam's been reading the dinosaur book since you left. 3 dots appeared as Ethan typed, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, I know I have no right to ask, but can I see them again? Emily thought about the way Liam's face lit up, showing his dinosaurs, how Lily slowly came out of her shell. Saturday, the park near the bookstore, 2 p.m. I'll be there. Emily went inside and found the twins' baby album. She hadn't looked at it in ages. Too many memories. Pictures of her pregnant, alone in her Boston apartment. The twins in the NICU, so tiny and fragile. Their first birthday, first steps, first words. She took out her phone again. They were 2 pounds each at birth. The doctors weren't sure they'd make it, but they were fighters from day one. Ethan replied immediately, just like their mother. Across town, Ethan sat in his study looking at pictures he'd taken that day. His first photos of his children. Liam explaining dinosaurs, Lily reading her new book. He'd missed so much. His phone rang. It was Victoria. "I hope you're happy," she said. "My reputation is ruined. You did that yourself. Those brats ruined everything. We were perfect together, Ethan. We could have had our own children." Ethan's voice turned cold. "Never contact me or my family again." "Your family?" Victoria laughed. "You think you can just walk back into their lives, play daddy after 5 years? Face it, Ethan. You're still the same selfish man who walked away. You don't deserve them." He hung up, but her words hit home. Did he deserve a second chance? The twins were so perfect, so innocent. Emily had done an amazing job raising them. His phone buzzed with another text from Emily, this time a photo. The twins asleep, Lily clutching her new book, Liam surrounded by dinosaurs. "They haven't stopped talking about you," she wrote. Ethan touched the screen gently. "I'll do better this time," he whispered. "I promise." 2 weeks had passed since Ethan first met the twins. Their Saturday park visits had become a routine, and he'd even started coming to the bookstore for quick lunch visits. Everything was going smoothly. Too smoothly, Emily thought. She was right to worry. The trouble started with a letter from Ethan's lawyer. Emily found it in her mailbox after closing the bookstore. Inside were custody papers. "Joint custody?" she whispered, hands shaking. "No, no, no, no." She drove straight to Ethan's office. His assistant tried to stop her, but Emily pushed past. "What is this?" She threw the papers on his desk. Ethan looked confused. "What's what?" "Don't play dumb. The custody papers. I thought we agreed to take things slow." "Emily, I didn't..." Ethan grabbed the papers, reading quickly. His face darkened. "I told Jack to hold off on this. I'll fix it." "Fix it? Like you fixed everything else?" Emily's voice broke. "I trusted you. I let you into their lives." "Please, let me explain. The twins are asking if they can call you Daddy," Emily cut in. "Did you know that? They're falling in love with you, and now you pull this?" Ethan sat down hard. "They want to call me Daddy." "That's not the point." Emily grabbed the papers back. "The point is you went behind my back." "I didn't. I swear, Emily. I told Jack weeks ago to stop the custody filing. Then why did I get these?" Before Ethan could answer, his office door opened. Victoria walked in, smiling like a cat who'd caught a mouse. "Oh, I'm sorry," she said, not looking sorry at all. "Am I interrupting something?" Emily stared at her. You did this?" "Did what?" Victoria examined her perfect manicure. "Oh, you mean having my friend at the law firm expedite the custody papers? I just thought everyone should stop playing happy families and get to the real issues." "Get out," Ethan growled. "Gladly. I just came to tell you that the board loved my presentation about the company's future, especially the part about how personal scandals might affect stock prices." After she left, Emily sank into a chair. "She's on your board. Her father is. Victoria's been trying to get more involved in the company." Ethan ran his hands through his hair. "Emily, please believe me, I didn't want this. But you considered it. You had the papers drawn up. Weeks ago. Before I met them. Before I understood." He knelt beside her chair. "I don't want to fight you in court. I want us to figure this out together." Emily stood up. "I need time to think. Don't come to the park tomorrow." "Emily, I mean it, Ethan. Stay away until I contact you." That night, the twins were unusually quiet at dinner. "Is Ethan coming tomorrow?" Lily asked. "Not tomorrow, sweetie." "Why not?" Liam's lower lip trembled. "Did we do something wrong?" Emily's heart broke. "No, baby. You didn't do anything wrong. Grown-ups just need time to figure things out sometimes." After putting the twins to bed, Emily called Rachel. "He had custody. Papers drawn up," she said, crying quietly in her kitchen. "That snake, after everything, he says he didn't send them, that it was Victoria. And you believe him?" Emily wiped her eyes. "I don't know what to believe anymore." At his penthouse, Ethan was on the phone with his lawyer. "I want her off the board," he said. "Victoria, her father, all of them." "It's not that simple," Jack replied. "Nathan Chen owns 15% of the company shares." "I don't care. She's using my children as pawns." "Our children," Emily's voice echoed in his head. He hung up and looked at his phone. No messages from Emily. He opened his photo gallery, scrolling through pictures from their park visits. Liam on the swings, Lily showing him her cartwheels, both twins laughing as he pushed them on the merry-go-round. His phone rang. "Michael, the board's calling an emergency meeting," his brother said. "Victoria's father is making noise about your fitness to lead the company." "What?" "They're saying your personal situation is becoming a liability, that the scandal with the twins, the custody battle..." "There is no custody battle. Try telling..." That to the shareholders. Victoria's got them spooked. Ethan paced his living room. I'll handle it. How? I don't know yet, but I'm not losing my children again. The next morning, Emily opened the bookstore to find it full of flowers, daisies everywhere. Special delivery, her assistant said, handing her a card. I'm sorry, I never meant to hurt you or the twins. The custody papers have been destroyed. Please don't shut me out. She was about to call him when she saw the morning's business news. Marshall Enterprises, stock drops amid leadership concerns. Her phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. Don't worry about the news. Some things are more important than business. Emily remembered the old Ethan, the one who chose his company over their marriage. Was he really different now? The twins were quiet all day, missing their Saturday park visit with Ethan. At bedtime, Lily asked, Is Ethan going away like my friend Katie's daddy went away? What do you mean, sweetie? Katie said her daddy left and never came back. Is Ethan leaving too? Emily held her daughter close. It's complicated, baby. But he promised to teach me more dinosaur names, Liam said from his bed. And he was going to read my new books with me, Lily added. Emily looked at her children, their faces so much like Ethan's, their hearts so open and trusting. Was she protecting them by keeping Ethan away, or just hurting them all over again? Her phone buzzed one more time. Ethan had sent a photo from their last park visit. Emily hadn't even known he'd taken it. She was laughing at something Lily had said. Liam was hanging on Ethan's back like a monkey, and all four of them looked happy. I'll give up everything, Ethan wrote. The company, the money, all of it. Just please don't take them away from me again. Don't let my mistakes keep hurting them. Emily stared at the message for a long time before typing, Come to dinner tomorrow. 6 p.m. We need to talk. Ethan stood outside Emily's house, a grocery bag in his arms. He'd asked what he could bring for dinner, and she'd said, Just yourself. But he remembered how much she used to love his apple pie. Inside, Emily was trying to keep the twins calm. They'd been bouncing off the walls since hearing Ethan was coming. Can we show him our science project? Liam asked for the 10th time. Yes, but dinner first. Emily checked the lasagna in the oven. His favorite, though she told herself that was just a coincidence. The doorbell rang, and the twins raced to answer it. Wait, Emily called. What did we talk about? Let Mommy open the door, they repeated in unison. Emily opened the door to find Ethan looking nervous but determined. I brought pie, he said. I remember you used to like your apple pie, she finished. Their eyes met for a moment before the twins broke the tension. Ethan! They launched themselves at his legs. Careful, let him come inside first, Emily said, taking the pie. Dinner started awkwardly. The adults were too polite, too careful, while the twins chattered about their week. And then in science class, Liam said through a mouthful of lasagna, we learned about DNA. Ethan nearly choked on his water. Emily shot him a warning look. That's why we look like our parents, Lily added proudly. Because of DNA. The silence that followed was deafening. Who wants to help me serve dessert? Emily stood quickly. In the kitchen, Ethan followed her. Emily, not now, she whispered. They're too young to understand, but someday they'll need to know the truth. I know. She started cutting the pie. That's part of what we need to talk about after they're in bed. Back at the table, the twins devoured their pie while showing Ethan pictures from their science fair project, a model of the solar system. Neptune is my favorite, Lily declared. Why's that? Ethan asked. Because it's blue like your eyes. Like my eyes too. Emily saw Ethan's hands shake as he helped Lily explain the planets. After dessert, the twins begged Ethan to read their bedtime story. Emily watched from the doorway as he did all the different voices, just like he used to do when reading to their friends' kids years ago. Finally, the twins were asleep. Emily and Ethan sat in the living room, the weight of their conversation hanging between them. I resigned from the company, Ethan said quietly. What? This morning, I called an emergency board meeting and stepped down. Ethan, your company is your life. He shook his head. No, they are my life. He nodded toward the stairs. I was wrong before, Emily, so wrong. I thought legacy meant stock prices and company acquisitions, but real legacy? His voice cracked. Real legacy is up there, sleeping with stuffed dinosaurs and planet books. What about Victoria, the board? Victoria's father tried to block my resignation, said it would tank the stock price. Ethan laughed bitterly, as if that matters anymore. What will you do? Michael will take over as CEO. I'm keeping my shares but stepping back from day-to-day operations. He leaned forward. I want to be here, Emily, really here. Not just Saturday visits and lunch breaks. The twins need stability, Emily said. They're already so attached to you. And you? Ethan asked softly. What do you need? Emily stood up, walking to the mantel where family photos lined the wall. I need to know this is real, that you won't walk away again when things get hard. I won't, I promise. You promised before, she reminded him. When we got married, for better or worse, remember? I was a different person then, selfish, blind. He joined her at the mantel, looking at the photos. These past few weeks with the twins, with you, I finally understand what matters. Emily turned to face him. Victoria came to the bookstore today. Ethan tensed. What did she want? To warn me. She said you'll never change. That business will always come first. Emily's voice shook. She told me about the merger you were working on, the one that would take you to London for months. I cancelled it. That's part of why I resigned. Ethan ran a hand through his hair. I should have told you. Yes, you should have. Emily crossed her arms. No more secrets, Ethan. No more putting business first. If we're going to do this, really do this, I need to know the twins come first. Always. They do. You do. He stepped closer. Emily, when I lost you, when I drove you away, I thought I was choosing success. But these past 5 years have been empty. All the money, the power, the status, none of it matters without family. A cry from upstairs interrupted them. Mommy! They rushed up to find Liam having a nightmare. Emily sat on his bed, pulling him close. Shh, baby. It's okay. Mommy's here. Is Ethan still here? Liam asked sleepily. I'm here, buddy. Ethan knelt by the bed. Don't go away, Liam mumbled, already falling back asleep. Ethan's eyes met Emily's over their son's head. In that moment, something shifted between them. Later, as Ethan prepared to leave, Emily handed him a key. For emergencies, she said. And maybe for breakfast sometimes. The twins would like that. Just the twins? Emily smiled slightly. We'll see. As Ethan drove home, his phone buzzed with messages from the board, from Victoria, from business reporters wanting comments about his resignation. He ignored them all. Instead, he opened Emily's last text. Thank you for the pie. The twins want to know if you'll help with their next science project. It's about families. Ethan smiled. For the first time in his life, he knew exactly where he belonged. The morning newspaper sat on Emily's kitchen counter, its headline bold and clear. Marshall Enterprises stock plummets, CEO's shocking resignation raises questions. But Emily wasn't looking at the paper. She was watching Ethan make pancakes with the twins, their laughter filling the kitchen. No, Daddy, the chocolate chips go in before you flip it, Lily corrected him. The word Daddy still made Emily's heart skip. It had slipped out 3 days ago, and neither she nor Ethan had corrected them. Now it felt natural, like the twins had been waiting to say it all along. Like this? Ethan asked, dropping chocolate chips into the batter. Perfect. Liam gave him a thumbs up. The doorbell rang, interrupting their morning routine. Emily opened it to find Rachel looking worried. Have you seen the news? Rachel asked, walking in. She stopped short at the sight of Ethan in the kitchen, wearing an apron and flipping pancakes. Good morning, Rachel, Ethan said carefully. They hadn't spoken since before the divorce. Rachel's eyes narrowed. Emily, can we talk? Privately. In the living room, Rachel turned on her sister. What are you doing? He's giving up his company, Emily. His whole life's work. What happens when he resents you and the twins for it? He's changed, Rachel. People don't change, not really. Rachel glanced toward the kitchen. Remember how Dad was after he lost his business? How he blamed Mom for everything? Ethan's not Dad. Maybe not. But he's a businessman who just lost everything. History has a way of repeating itself. Back in the kitchen, Ethan was helping the twins set the table when his phone rang. Michael. The shareholders are in panic, his brother said. Victoria's father is threatening to sell his shares to our biggest competitor. Let him, Ethan said, watching Lily carefully pour syrup on her pancakes. Let him. Ethan, everything we've built is just business, Michael. I've found something more important. After breakfast, Emily took the twins to school while Ethan headed to his lawyer's office. Jack had called about finalizing his resignation paperwork. The board is offering you a deal, Jack said, sliding over a document. Stay on as CEO, work remotely when needed, and they'll stop any hostile takeover attempts. Ethan thought about the pancake breakfast, about Lily calling him Daddy, about Liam's proud smile when he got the chocolate chips right. No deals, he said firmly. Ethan, think about this. You're walking away from billions. I already did. Think about it. For 5 years, that's all I did. Think about business, about money, about power. Ethan stood up. I'm done thinking. Now I'm choosing. At the bookstore, Emily was organizing a new display when Victoria walked in. Quite a cozy scene this morning, Victoria said, making Emily freeze. The happy little family making pancakes. Tell me, does it make you feel good, destroying everything Ethan built? You're having me followed? Just keeping an eye on my investment. Victoria picked up a children's book, flipping through it carelessly. You know he'll hate you for this eventually, when the money starts running out, when he's not the powerful man he used to be. Get out of my store. Or what? You'll send Ethan after me. He's not exactly the force he used to be. No, Emily stepped closer. I'll handle you myself. You want to talk about investments? I invested 5 years of raising those children alone. I invested every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt and fear. Ethan's investing in us now because he finally understands what really matters. Victoria's perfect smile faltered. You're both fools. After she left, Emily called Ethan. Victoria was here. Are you okay? Yes, but she had photos of us this morning. She's having us watched. The line went quiet for a moment. Then Ethan said, pack some bags for you and the twins, just for a few days. What? Why? Because I'm about to make Victoria very, very angry. That afternoon, Ethan called a press conference. Standing at the podium, he looked directly into the cameras. 5 years ago, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I chose business over family, success over love. I thought legacy meant money and power. I was wrong. He pulled out a photo of the twins. This is my legacy, my children, my family. And no amount of money or corporate power can compare to their smiles, their hugs, their love. In the bookstore, Emily watched the press conference on her phone, tears in her eyes. I'm not just stepping down as CEO, Ethan continued. I'm selling my shares, all of them. And I'm using the money to start a new foundation dedicated to helping families struggling with fertility treatments. Because every parent deserves the chance to know the joy I feel when my children call me daddy. Emily's phone buzzed with a text from Rachel. Okay, maybe he has changed. That night at Emily's house, the twins were excited about their mini vacation. Where are we going? Liam asked, packing his dinosaurs. Just somewhere special for a few days, Emily said, helping Lily choose which books to bring. Ethan arrived with his own bag. The jet's ready whenever we are. Jet? Emily raised an eyebrow. Last time I'll use it, I promise. But right now we need to get away while the lawyers handle everything. Handle what? Ethan smiled. Let's just say Victoria and her father are about to learn that crossing my family was their biggest mistake. As they drove to the airport, Emily looked back at the twins already falling asleep in their car seats. Are you sure about all this? She asked softly. Giving up everything? Ethan reached for her hand. I'm not giving up everything. I'm finally claiming what matters most. In the rearview mirror, Emily saw a black car following them. But for once, she wasn't worried. She knew that whatever came next, they would face it together, as a family. The private jet touched down in Martha's Vineyard just as the sun was setting. Emily carried a sleeping Lily, while Ethan had Liam in his arms. The little boy had crashed right after takeoff, clutching his favorite dinosaur. My summer house is just up the coast, Ethan said as they got into the waiting car. It's the one place Victoria doesn't know about. I bought it after our divorce, when I needed somewhere to think about everything I'd lost. Emily looked at him in surprise. You never mentioned this place before. It wasn't something to be proud of, a lonely man's escape. He smiled sadly. Now it can be something better, a fresh start. The house turned out to be a beautiful beachfront cottage, nothing like Ethan's usual grand properties. Inside it was cozy and warm, with comfortable furniture and large windows facing the ocean. The kids will love the beach, Emily said, laying Lily on one of the beds. I hope so. Ethan tucked Liam into another bed. I used to sit on the deck and imagine, us, a family. Back in New York, Victoria stormed into her father's office at Chen Industries. Have you seen this? She threw down a newspaper with Ethan's press conference on the front page. Nathan Chen looked grave. He's selling everything, and the foundation he's creating, it's a direct attack on our fertility clinic investments. He can't do this. He already has. Nathan picked up his phone. The shares are being transferred as we speak. To Michael. Michael? But he's loyal to Ethan. Exactly. Nathan slumped in his chair. We've lost, Victoria. Marshall beat us at our own game. At the cottage, Emily woke early to find Ethan on the deck, talking on his phone. Yes, Michael. Transfer everything just like we discussed, he was saying, and make sure the foundation paperwork is ironclad. Victoria won't be able to touch it. He hung up when he saw Emily. Good morning. More business? The last of it? I promise. He handed her a coffee. Michael's handling the share transfer. I'm keeping enough to secure our future, but the rest is going to the foundation, the Fertility Treatment Foundation, Emily said softly. I thought maybe you could help run it. Use your experience to help other couples. He looked uncertain. Only if you want to, of course. Before Emily could answer, excited squeals came from the beach. The twins had found their way down to the water. Daddy, Mommy, look at the shells, Lily called out. They spent the morning beach combing, building sandcastles, and watching the twins chase waves. Emily couldn't remember the last time she'd seen them so happy. Her phone buzzed, Rachel sending news from home. Victoria's father had resigned from the board of Chen Industries. Their fertility clinic chain was being investigated for unethical practices. You're doing, she asked Ethan. Let's just say I had 5 years of dirt on the Chens. He helped Liam add a seashell to his sandcastle. They won't bother us again. That afternoon, while the twins napped, Emily and Ethan walked along the beach. I've been thinking, Emily said, about the foundation. And I want to help, not just with the fertility programs, but with support for single parents, people who choose to have children on their own like I did. Ethan stopped walking. You're amazing, you know that? After everything I put you through, you still want to help others. That's what drew me to you in the first place, Emily said. Your passion for helping people before the business took over. I lost my way. He picked up a shell, turning it over in his hands. But you've always known exactly who you are. What matters? Back at the cottage, they found the twins, in the living room, going through old photos they'd found in a drawer. Daddy, is this you? Liam held up a wedding picture. Emily and Ethan exchanged a look. It was their wedding photo. Yes, Ethan said carefully. That's me and your mum a long time ago. You were married? Lily's eyes went wide. Emily sat down with them. Yes, sweetie, before you were born. What happened? Liam asked. Ethan joined them on the floor. I made some big mistakes. I hurt your mom's feelings very badly. But you're sorry now? Lily asked. Very sorry. The twins looked at each other, then at their parents. Are you getting married again? Emily blushed. It's not that simple, sweetheart. Why not? Liam persisted. You love each other, right? Before either adult could answer, Lily gasped. Look, another picture. It was from their first fertility treatment years ago. Emily and Ethan, young and hopeful, standing outside the clinic. What's that place? Liam asked. Emily took a deep breath. That's where we first tried to have you. But it didn't work, Ethan added. Not then. But we got our wish later, Emily said, hugging the twins, when the time was right. That night, after the twins were asleep, Emily found Ethan on the deck again. So they're going to have more questions, she said. I know, but we'll answer them together. He turned to her. Emily, about what Lily asked. About us. Ethan, I'm not proposing, not yet. We have a lot to work through. He took her hand. But I want you to know that I never stopped loving you, even when I was too blind to see what mattered, too proud to admit I was wrong. Emily squeezed his hand. I never stopped loving you either. That's what made it so hard. Inside, the twins slept peacefully, their seashell collection spread out on their bedside tables. 2 small lives that had brought their parents back together, healing old wounds with their innocent love. Emily's phone buzzed one last time. Rachel. Again. Everything okay there? Emily looked at Ethan, at the peaceful ocean, at the house that would now hold happy memories instead of lonely ones. Better than okay, she texted back. We're home. A month had passed since their escape to Martha's Vineyard. The family had returned to New York, but everything was different now. Ethan had moved into a modest house just blocks from Emily and the twins. Close enough for daily breakfast visits, but giving Emily the space she needed to be sure about their future. The morning papers still talked about the Marshall Enterprises shakeup, but the headlines were old news now. Victoria and her father had disappeared to Europe, their reputation in shambles after the fertility clinic scandal broke. Daddy, we need your help, Lily called out as Ethan walked into the bookstore. It was Saturday morning, and the store was hosting its weekly reading. Circle. What's up, princess? We're doing a family tree for school, Liam explained, spreading out a large poster board. But we got stuck. Ethan sat down with them, his heart squeezing at the half-finished family tree. Emily watched from behind the counter as he helped them fill in the branches. "And here's Aunt Rachel," Lily said, drawing a line. "And Uncle Michael." "Uncle Michael?" Emily raised an eyebrow. "He asked if he could be their uncle," Ethan explained, "when he came over for dinner last week. I hope that's okay?" Emily smiled. Michael had surprised everyone by fully supporting Ethan's choices, even helping set up the Foundation's first office. The bell above the door chimed. A young couple walked in, looking nervous. "Is this where we sign up for the Foundation's program?" the woman asked. Emily stepped forward. "Yes, I'm Emily Watson. Welcome to New Beginnings Family Foundation." While Emily talked with the couple, Ethan helped the twins with their project, but he kept glancing at Emily, watching how her face lit up as she explained the Foundation's services. "And your partner helped create this?" the husband asked Emily. She met Ethan's eyes across the room. Yes, he did. That afternoon, they took the twins to the park, the same park where Ethan had first seen them months ago. But now, instead of watching from a distance, he was pushing them on the swings, their laughter filling the air. "Hiya, Daddy," Liam called. A woman on a nearby bench smiled at Emily. "Your children are beautiful. You and your husband must be so proud." Emily started to correct her, but stopped. What were they now? Not just co-parents anymore, but not quite back together. Not yet. That evening, after the twins were in bed, Ethan and Emily sat on her back porch. It had become their nightly ritual, talking about their day, making plans for the Foundation, just being together. "The first grant applications are coming in," Emily said. "So many couples hoping for their own miracle. Like we got." Ethan took her hand. "Emily, I've been thinking." "Dangerous," he laughed. "I want to sell the summer house." "What? Why? The twins love it there." "Because I bought it as an escape, and I don't want to escape anymore." He turned to face her. "I want to buy a new house, one we choose together, big enough for all of us." Emily's breath caught. "Ethan, not right away. When you're ready." "If you're ready." He squeezed her hand. "The twins asked me something interesting today, while we were working on the family tree." "What's that?" "They asked why we don't all live together like their friend Tommy's family. They said it's silly that I have to leave every night when we're all happiest together." Emily was quiet for a long moment. "Out of the mouths of babes. They're smart kids. They get that from their father." Emily smiled. "When he's not being stupid." "Hey," but Ethan was smiling too. "I deserve that." Inside, they heard a small noise. The twins stood in the doorway in their pajamas. "Can't sleep?" Emily asked. They shook their heads. "Can we look at the stars with you?" Soon they were all on the porch swing. The twins cuddled between their parents, pointing out constellations Ethan had taught them. "Look, the Big Dipper," Lily pointed. "And there's Orion's belt," Liam added sleepily. Emily felt Liam's head grow, heavy against her arm. Both twins were falling asleep. "I'll help you get them to bed," Ethan whispered. They carried the twins upstairs, tucking them in together like they'd been doing it for years instead of months. In the hallway, Emily stopped Ethan before he could leave. "You're right," she said softly. "About what?" "The house, the kids, all of it." She took a deep breath. "I'm ready if you are." Ethan's eyes filled with tears. "I've been ready since the day I saw you in the park. Since before that, really. Since the day you walked away and took my heart with you." "That's quite poetic for a businessman." "Former businessman," he corrected. "Current father. And hopefully," he touched her cheek, "future husband?" Again, Emily stood on tiptoe and kissed him softly. "Let's start with the house. The rest will come." "We have time," Ethan agreed. "All the time in the world." From Lily's room came a sleepy voice. "Does this mean Daddy's staying?" They looked in to find both twins pretending to be asleep, badly hiding their smiles. "Yes," Emily said. "Daddy's staying." "Forever?" Liam asked. Ethan and Emily looked at each other, years of pain and love and hope passing between them. "Forever," they said together. Later, as Ethan finally headed home for what would be one of his last nights in his temporary house, he got a text from Michael. "The Foundation's first success story. Thought you'd want to know." Attached was a photo of the couple from the bookstore, holding a positive pregnancy test, their faces glowing with joy. Ethan showed the photo to Emily. "New beginnings," she said. "For everyone," he agreed, kissing her goodnight. As he walked the few blocks home, Ethan looked up at the same stars they'd watched with the twins. 5 years ago, he'd thought he'd lost everything. Now he knew he'd only been lost himself. But sometimes, he thought, you have to lose your way to find your way back home. 1 year later, the garden of their new home bloomed with spring flowers. Emily stood at the kitchen window, watching the twins help Ethan plant more daisies, her favorites. So much had changed in the past year, yet somehow it felt like they'd finally found their way back to where they were always meant to be. "Mommy!" Lily called out. "Come see what we planted." Emily walked outside, breathing in the fresh morning air. The twins, now 5, had grown so much. Liam's dinosaur obsession had expanded to include all kinds of science, while Lily had started writing her own stories. "Look, we made a heart shape with the flowers," Liam said proudly. "Just like in those old pictures," Lily added. Emily smiled, remembering. The old pictures they'd found while packing for the move, their first wedding, where they decorated everything with daisy hearts. "Dad said these were your favorite flowers when you got married the first time," Liam continued. "They still..." "Huh?" Emily said, helping them pat down the soil. The sound of a car pulling up made them all look up. Rachel stepped out, carrying a stack of files. "More applications for the foundation?" Ethan asked, wiping dirt from his hands. "And some good issues." Rachel hugged her sister. "Remember that couple from last month? The ones who'd been trying for 10 years? Emily nodded. "Twins. They're having twins." Ethan wrapped his arm around Emily's waist as she teared up. Their foundation had already helped dozens of couples, but every success story felt personal. "Can we have pizza to celebrate?" Liam asked, making everyone laugh. "Actually," Rachel said, "I thought we could all go out. Michael and Sarah are waiting at that new family restaurant downtown." The twins cheered. Ever since Michael had married Sarah, Ethan's former assistant who'd helped track down Emily years ago, family dinners had become a weekly tradition. At the restaurant, they pushed tables together to fit everyone. Michael raised his glass. "To new beginnings," he said, "both the foundation and the family. And to old endings that turned out to be new beginnings in disguise," Sarah added, touching her growing baby bump. Emily watched as Ethan helped the twins with their menus, so natural now in his role as their father. The past year had been a journey of healing, of learning to trust again, of building something new from the ashes of what they'd lost. They'd moved into their new house 6 months ago, a beautiful colonial with a big yard and enough room for their growing extended family. The twins had helped design their own rooms, and Emily's bookstore had opened a second location nearby. "Remember when you first saw us in the park?" Lily asked suddenly. "Were you scared?" Ethan looked at his daughter thoughtfully. "Not scared, sweetheart. More like I'm amazed. I couldn't believe how perfect you both were. Even though you didn't know we were yours," Liam added. "You were perfect because you were your mother's," Ethan said, squeezing Emily's hand. "Being mine too was just a miracle I didn't deserve. But you do now," Emily said softly. "You've more than earned it." After dinner, they walked home through the park where it all began. The twins ran ahead to the playground, their energy endless. "I have something to tell you," Emily said, stopping by the bench where she used to bring the twins when they were babies. "What is it?" She took his hand and placed it on her stomach. Ethan's eyes widened. "Really?" Emily nodded, tears in her eyes. "Really? 8 weeks. And before you worry, the doctors say everything looks perfect." Ethan pulled her close, his own eyes wet. "When did you find out?" "Yesterday. I wanted to be sure before..." She laughed as he spun her around. "I guess those fertility treatments we developed at the foundation work pretty well. Does anyone else know?" "Just Rachel. She was with me at the doctor's." Emily looked toward the playground. "Should we tell the twins?" "Tell us what?" Lily asked, appearing beside them with uncanny timing. Liam joined them, looking curious. "Is it a surprise?" Emily and Ethan exchanged a look. "Well," Emily said, kneeling down to their level, "how would you feel about being a big sister and brother?" The twins' eyes grew huge. "You mean you're going to have a baby?" Lily squealed. "We're going to have a baby," Ethan confirmed. The twins launched themselves at their parents, all 4 of them hugging right there in the park where their story had come full circle. That night after the twins were asleep, Emily and Ethan sat on their back porch swing, the same one from her old house, now in their new home. "I've been thinking," Ethan said. "Again? We should really break you of that habit." He laughed. "I want to renew our vows before the baby comes. Not a big wedding like last time, just family, right here in our garden, with daisy hearts and the twins helping plan everything." Emily turned to face him. "You mean it?" "I do." He touched her stomach gently. "This time, I want to do everything right. No business, no pressure, no expectations. Just us, our family, and the love that brought us back together. Even after everything we went through, especially after everything we went through." He kissed her softly. "Those seeds of regret, they bloomed into something beautiful. Inside, they heard the twins whispering, no doubt plotting to sneak downstairs for a midnight snack. "We should probably stop them," Emily said. Probably, but neither moved, content to sit in their moment of perfect happiness. The next morning, Emily opened her bookstore to find Ethan had been there first. Daisy hearts decorated every window, and in the children's corner was a new sign. "Every family has a story. Welcome to ours." The twins ran in, excited to help with story time. As Emily watched Ethan set up the reading circle, their miracle, children beside him, she thought about the long road that had brought them here. Sometimes love takes the longest path home, but when it finally arrives, it's all the sweeter for the journey. "Ready for story time?" Ethan asked, patting the seat beside him. Emily joined her family, complete at last, ready for everything. And so their story continued, not with an ending but with a new chapter, one filled with daisies and dinosaurs, books and babies, and most of all, with the kind of love that gives second chances to those brave enough to take them.